So we're just going to finish by inviting Joy to come back, just to share a little bit more about some of the work that she's been involved with, which is where we take some of this thinking about being missional and recognizing that actually we can be missional right where we are already, where God has placed us. It doesn't always have to be about the launch of a new project or a new initiative, but sometimes being missional starts with where we are right now. So I'm going to invite Joy to just come and share a little bit about the work that she's been involved with Spheres and missional work. Thank you, Joy.
Yeah, thanks, Si. Well, I don't know about you, but there's nothing else that I would rather give my life to than understanding that I'm made in the image of a creative God. And I've been given authority to bring his creativity to the world, to bring the reconciliation of all things into reality, and to make our communities and towns, our cities, look more like heaven on earth. And I happen to do that as a church leader, as a kind of charity leader. I have the privilege of being able to do that. I also have a microphone on a Sunday morning. And like Steve said, the role of the leaders is to bring focus. And as a church leader, if I'm not careful, who wants to keep this place running and organised, it could be really easy to bring focus to the function and the organisation of the church, and also of the projects that we are involved in. And I think it's been an incredible move of God over the last 25 years of seeing organisations spring up across our nation, like CAP and Trussell Trust and Safe Families for Children and all of the other incredible organisations where you can kind of literally take something off a shelf and say, we're going to run a project in our community and we're going to bring transformation in that way. But I just wanted to be able to, I suppose, remind us that only something like 95% of the church community that gathers on a Sunday is able to be involved in volunteering and running projects. Only 5%, and 95% of the church family. Yeah, that'd be great, wouldn't we? We'd be able to get our KPIs up. 5% of the church can be involved in that. 95% of the church, made in the image of God, just like me, created to bring creativity to the world around us, with a mandate as an ambassador of Christ to bring reconciliation to all things, understanding that the breakdown in relationships doesn't just affect our relationship with Jesus. And as people walking on our streets, they maybe don't know Jesus, but also there's brokenness in so many other ways. And then that 95% of people who sit in the pews generally hear from the microphone about all the things that we're doing together as a church, and they hear about all the collective projects that we're doing, but don't hear as much about the things that they are bringing their time to, and often don't really even understand that they have a ministry, and it's not just about bringing money into the church so that we can run a CAP project. So like Si said, I've been involved, as I've kind of seen the stuff that we've done through Acts, I've also realised, had this kind of realisation, we're never going to see full transformation of our city even if we run 10 projects. That is not going to transform our city. But the latent potential of all the people in our church community really understanding who they are in Christ and bringing that authority to their workplace, wherever they are, that could bring transformation. And so we set up a few initiatives. One of them was to gather people who understand that they've got a workplace and a ministry in that workplace, and just to try and help them see that they are bringing transformation to the world. And it's been really, really interesting. I just want to tell you a couple of stories. A friend of mine called Kerry, she's a pastor's kid. She works as an HR, in HR, and she actually works in the NHS now across Lincolnshire NHS Hospital Trust, Community Trust, as the Director for Transformation. So she's got an incredible role to bring incredible transformation. And until she engaged with some of these conversations, she literally said, I'm doing this because brings loads of cash into the church, and it means we can do more projects. And sometimes I get to share my faith, but not often, because the NHS is quite hostile to Christians in terms of being able to share their faith. And as she went on this journey of hearing other stories of other people who are created in the same way that she is, and are understanding that their workplace is their opportunity to partner with God to bring reconciliation to all of those 4 relationships, she started to understand that she had a significant role to play. And she's been part of the opening doors for the church to open the nightlight cafes in our city, but also she sees the restoration of relationships in lots of different ways. Just a couple of other people and stories that I wanted to share with you. A friend of mine is called Marie Claire. She's a teacher. She was a head teacher in a school in Lincoln, and then she got promoted to work across a multi-academy trust and across the UK. And she's always had a vision, even as a primary teacher, that the school could be a hub for social justice and to raise aspirations for young people and create safe spaces for their families and for them to flourish. And as she kind of went up the ranks, she started to recognise that not only are the kind of broken relationships that impacted with individuals, but also structures and systems. And she began to see that the school system was so separate from the rest of the city. And all she needed to do was join it up and have some conversations. So she created something called Ambition Lincoln, which is an opportunity for all the schools in the city to come together with all the partner organisations that are also working towards seeing Lincoln and the people in Lincoln, they're levelled up and being able to flourish. And as she did that, she was able to connect the church and education and business together to say, how can we work around the team? Actually, they called it the team around the city. And how can we work together as a team around the city to bring transformation? And she did that because she understands that Jesus has called her to bring reconciliation, not just to individuals' lives, but to the system of education and the city. And then on another level, my friends Dan and Joe, who were pastors here, and they were Dan was in the room earlier, they have just adopted a little girl. And I really wanted to tell a story of hope, because you can tell a story of people who are leading in structures and systems, but not everyone gets to lead at that level. But they're leading a culture change in their church family as they've adopted a little girl and brought her into their family. Lots and lots of other people in their church community are starting to foster and adopt as well. And so on Sunday, they dedicated 8 children as part of their dedication service. And a number of those were children that have been adopted. And so it's not just people leading at kind of brilliant levels of leadership, but every single person made in the image of God. Nurses on the wards who are pastoring patients, teachers in the schools, business people who are setting up businesses with kingdom values and kingdom principles. And while we have the microphone as church leaders, we can talk about the projects that we're doing, but the projects will never bring the kind of transformation that we are dreaming of for our cities and for our nation. And so just for us to dream a little bit as we go through this process and say, this isn't all of the puzzle. There's lots more to it. And we have a latent potential in our church and a paradigm that needs shifting across our nation with churches and individuals to understand the authority that we carry and the way that we can send them strategically, equipped, prayerfully to bring transformation. So yeah, I really appreciate the opportunity just to kind of share that and for us to remember what we can possibly achieve in the next 30 years. Have we seen change over the last 25 years? What about the next 30 years and what God could do in our nation?